Welcome to the Lesbian Peep Show. Peep Show.
I have two of the, I feel like, disliked signs among the community in my big three. I'm a Scorpio sun, Gemini moon, Aquarius rising.
I'll join in. I am a Virgo sun, Scorpio rising, Aries moon. Also controversial, and I love it. Love. I'm like, this is the perfect combo for me.
I think it makes so much sense. I'm obsessed.
I used to think that I was a Libra rising because my mom told me the wrong birth time for like 10 years. And so I thought I was just like really about justice, but it turns out I just carry a weapon and that's different.
Oh my God, I love the earth sign Aries combo.
What's Gemini moon like?
Gemini moon is like, I guess I don't think about it so much in terms of like the moon, but I know like Gemini feels very like intellectual. Like I feel like both of us, we're coming up with frameworks. We're getting into the books. We're making connections. We're thinking deeply.
Do you intellectualize your feelings?
For sure.
So that would be Gemini moon. But like you're like, I'm upset, but this feels connected to my mother.
But this is oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Please introduce yourself however you would like to, besides as a Gemini.
It's my academic. I'm like, okay, let's make a hypothesis about what's happening internally. Let's test this and then react accordingly. But yeah, I'm Eva Bloom. I use they, them pronouns, and I am a late bloomer confidence and self-growth coach. And I am also an inclusive LGBTQ plus sex ed speaker. So I go all across North America to universities if they'll let me, and I try and teach gay sex and also how people can have boundaries and communicate with each other.
What does it mean if you're going to a university and teaching gay sex? What kinds of things do people walk away with?
Most of the time I like bill it as gay sex. Most of the time when I go to universities, university students haven't even had like basic high school sex ed.
Yeah.
So I'm very much like teaching basics through like a queer lens, talking about, you know, the different parts of our body and like pleasure anatomy, talking about how HRT can impact how our body experiences pleasure and feels things, talking about a lot of communication tools because if you're having gay sex, especially lesbian sex, we got no models for how to do that. So a lot of it does come down to communication and learning how to tap back into what feels good in your body and like communicating that to somebody else.
One of the things that I think is like sort of a funny conversation I have with people about coming out and their first sexual experiences, which is like, it's such a tender thing because everything about sexuality can feel like sort of a hypothesis about yourself. I think a lot of times attribute the sex to the actualization of it, right? That's a lot of weight to put on it, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to have this sex and then that's going to tell me who I am. So, right? You don't have to do this, but this is what often happens. And then also, there's so much shame around sexuality in general and so many new skills that you need to learn, I think, to have queer sex. And then I'm talking about BB sex specifically, because so much of the heteronormative expectations of women in heterosex are really performance based. And that's not the objective in BB sex. It's like, it's totally communication based. I have said I felt like in heterosex, I was giving speeches and now I'm having conversations. That's like totally different.
Or being talked at in heterosex.
Yeah, I was more giving speech.
And I love that for you.
That's how I navigated it. But, whatever. It was wasn't great. But I think I gave some good speeches. And so then taking that information about myself and being like, I'm not sure how to show up for, I can't give this speech. And it's like, oh, it turns out it's actually not one. But one of the things that comes up in terms of that performance is I know so many women who had had heterosex before figuring out that they were queer, who came into their first like lesbian relationship giving sort of a pornographic show and having their person gently be like, "Hey, we d- we don't have to do that."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. Oh, I need to like get in my body and have like a natural response to this instead of like this performance of wow, you've really done it, you know?
Yeah, which is really hard to actually like sit with yourself and like listen to what your body is telling you. And like, yeah, literally last night, I was like, I had a feeling where I was like, oh my God, like this feels so intense in like a level that I have never felt before.
Hmm.
Just being like, I'm allowed to like fully be present here and I'm like gonna be held in this experience is way more vulnerable than like, okay, I'm gonna do XYZ trick and like also not just for VV sex. Like if you're having sex with
Hmm.
a trans girl, I feel like that's even like the creativity and having to conceptualize like, okay, like we literally get to create a new framework for how like this like type of body part like means to us and how we engage
Right.
with it. What acts are we doing and like yeah. So big creativity and like imagination for all types of lesbian and sapphic sex.
Hmm. Do you feel like that is sort of like a first step? It would feel to me like a first step toward like, I'm coming out, I want to have sex, I'm nervous about that. In terms of just that journey, would be like just some embodiment practices, just some like, how do I feel safe, comfortable, and aware of what's happening in my own body? Because so much of heteronormative sexuality is disembodied for women.
100%. I even like when I came out as a lesbian, had to go through a whole process of just like pleasure and sensuality, period. I'm
Hmm.
like, what do I actually like? Like, what foods taste good? What clothes feel good? Like, what environments do I like to be in? Like,
Hmm.
being in a hetero context, at least for myself, like, was just existing in so many different environments that didn't actually allow space for what authentically brought me pleasure. So I even had to start like there before being like, okay, and now sex, what do I
Yeah.
actually like? And building tolerance of like sitting with my own self and feelings too.
Yeah. It's sad to think how many people really just don't know what they like. And I think that would probably be for all genders of people actually, because so much of the culture that we're indoctrinated into is just about fitting in, especially as I'm getting older. The more when I talk about AFAB people, the more AFAB people get closer to like who they really authentically are, the clearer they are about their wants and the weirder those get. Because we don't actually all want the same thing.
Yes. Oh my God, I love it when women are weird. It makes me so happy. Um, yeah, non-sex example, but for my birthday, for my 30th birthday upcoming, my girlfriend like made a joke for what we could do for my birthday party. And I was like, no, 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 that's not a joke. We're really gonna do it. And we're gonna theme my birthday around a specific episode of a Dungeons and Dragons TV show that is sci-fi western, which is very cool. Cowboys, space guns, and I'm gonna be a prince slug. So this is what
Hmm.
this is
Yeah.
what I think life's about.
Yeah. I know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm delighted by every word you just said. So that's amazing. Also, congrats on upcoming 30.
Thank you.
So people come to you when they are sometimes sorting gender, sometimes sorting sexuality, and then they what? What happens next?
Then, oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends in different people come to me, mostly sorting sexuality.
Hmm.
Most people have some kind of inkling. A lot of people either came out as one label and are like,
Uh-huh.
or yeah, like late bloomer, compet, being like, I was really told that being straight was the only option, and turns out wasn't asexual, actually like women. And I think it's the process of like validating that like that journey is super common. People think that like they're the only person to have had that journey and that like nobody's gonna want to date them, which is not true. And also like, yeah, finding other community, finding that it is easier to join queer community than you think it is. Like there aren't these gatekeeper like bouncers. Like you can start like building your queer life now at any point in life. And people are gonna want to date you and like really holding people's hand through that like beginning messy like stage and feeling and building some of that self-compassion and resilience and knowledge that they're not alone. It's a well trodden path.
Yeah. The queer community is really diverse in that way. So I've not
Hmm.
come across many people at all outside of like people in comment sections, which is something I want to say. People in comment sections represent people in comment sections. Like none of my friends are in comment sections telling people they're not gay or whatever. Like nobody I respect is doing that. And so that's not a good place to get your identity validated or to see like what queer people think. It's an interesting like look at what queer people who like commenting on things on the internet have to say, but that's such a specific group of people. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's like wondering what women think and then only going to one sorority or something. And it's like, well, that's an interesting sample, but it's super specific. You
It's
know?
true. People who are like their hobbies are commenting. Don't want to be you, but you exist.
And that's just like that's not everybody. Also, I feel like the other thing that I like to say here is one, I think that one of the best things you can do for yourself is establishing yourself in queer community, find your queer community, and that doesn't happen from going someplace once. It just doesn't, and I think there's so much it feels like the first sex act too. It's like, I'm gonna go to this dyke night, and then they'll accept me or not accept me, and then that will determine and it's like, no, the first time I went to our giant dyke night, I met no people. I was busy just, like, soaking up vibes and, like,
Hmm.
being happy.
You're like, whoa, like play the like Willy Wonka theme music. You're like,
Yeah.
wow.
Like, people don't have these kinds of conversations about gatekeeping, going to a sports bar once and feeling like nobody really talked to them. It's like, probably no one talks to you at a sports bar. You have to, like, go up to people. You have to try.
Hmm. That is, you have to try. I think that's what I say too in terms of my dating clients. Like,
Mhm,
in terms of sapphic dating, the best thing you can do is clock in an hour of like getting integrated into sapphic community. And
mhm,
I think like the pandemic and like our attachment to our phones, like this sense of convenience culture has just become so like pervasive, and also having everything tailored to you, like all our algorithms are tailored to us, like actually having to be like, no, no, you have to be in an environment where you're uncomfortable and you have to dedicate like a year's worth of your time. People are like, "What?" I'm like, "Yes." The answer is unfortunately yes. For again, the happiness and profound community and fulfillment that you seek, it's unlikely going to be your first swipe on an app. And the apps are going to make you feel like garbage about yourself.
right.
So spend 6 months feeling like garbage about yourself on the apps, or spend 1 year having profound transformation.
Like, I understand why lesbians are bristly. I'm one of them about, like, lesbians are so gatekeepy. Lesbians don't like anybody. Lesbians don't accept me. And I'm like, we're culturally different. It sounds like you're not really a part of that yet if you think that we all suck. We
Mhm.
are, generally speaking, not the type of women who look welcoming all the time because there's like the total disconnect from performing for the male gaze, which is different than any other like sexuality possibility. We're like totally disconnected from that. I think makes us more stoic. I think we rest our faces more. I think we look more intimidating because we're just not like we're not doing that tap dance at all ever. Um, And to get to know us requires getting to know us. And I don't think that that's different than like if you get a new job and you kind of like one of your coworkers and then eventually you have lunch together and like, like the journey from like kind of being around someone to really being close to them is usually not fast. And I know that it feels tender when you're new to the community, but that expectation and then subsequent shit talking is like
Mhm.
not it, you know?
Also, like, if there is this really fast and intense connection, sometimes that's a red flag because there are
Mm.
people who are like, can be I don't know. People predatory is like a people predatory lesbian scary trope, but there are people who take advantage of people who are new in the community and who are really seeking and like thirsting for that acceptance. And there
Yeah.
are people who will give that to you, but it, it isn't in like a kind or healthy way.
No,
So,
I do think that that's common. I think that those people are like, that's not most queer people, right?
mm,
But I think in any environment, there is a vulnerability to being new,
mm,
especially if you are not like culturally competent in that environment yet. And that is an opportunity for any sort of person that wants control over you to do so. And it's something to be mindful of when you are new, you know? Like
yeah,
who's really excited that I'm new? Maybe that's not the vibes.
100%. But like it's actually a good sign if people are taking their time to get to know you. And I think it's also like, I don't know, this idea that like lesbians hate men. I think maybe lesbians just have a fucking standard for the type of people that they want to be around. Like, okay, like it was easier for you to like navigate a hetero space because you just like laugh and like, I don't know. Like it's like a surface connection. Like you aren't really like assessing like whether your values are aligned. Like, yeah, maybe you have to do like a little bit of a deeper work like on yourself to be like, am I actually coming into this space adding something? And like, am I actually being like a safe person? Am I actually like supporting and showing up for this community?
Yeah. Am I contributing is a good question. And it's a really great way to get to know people if there is like,
Hmm.
an ongoing sapphic function that you could be like, hey, I have this skill set I could add. Is there a way I could volunteer? Here's the time I have. Like that kind of thing is a really great way to get involved. Um,
Hmm.
I feel like because that time is very second adolescent, some of the behavior around community and friendship can be too. And so it's that like standing in the corner and being like, no one's looking at me.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, that didn't work in middle school and it's not going to work now. And everything about dating and sex and better understanding the culture that you're entering is going to be so much easier and more joyful and more relaxing if you feel affirmed by the community that's around you as opposed to affirmed by the sex you're having or the person you're dating, which are things that can go away.
It is so teen to be like, oh my God, the popular queer girls, they're so intimidating. Like, yeah, they've been here for like 10 plus years. Like, they have a whole friend group. They have a whole thing going on. They don't have any beef with you. They're just fully living their lives. And there's no point in comparing
100%.
yourself like on day one to them on like day 20 or like year 20. I don't know.
What do you find people are nervous about or thinking about? What does that first, oh no, sex sort of conversation look like in your world?
I mean, I think it definitely is about, do I know all the tricks? Do I
Yeah.
know all the tricks? Like, I don't want to let somebody down. I don't wanna, like somebody's already doing such a huge favor to fuck me because 'cause I'm new, like, I don't wanna bring nothing to the table. I'm like, "Good lord," like, we think so, like, so badly of each other that, like, I mean, maybe that you think your partners are dehumanizing you and don't see you and your whole story and everything else that you are besides just tricks. Maybe if you've just dated men and that's how you've been interacted with, um, but that and then also the wild stuff about, like, I've never experienced a vulva before. Maybe I'm gonna have all sorts of feelings about it, and that's scary.
I'd had such annoying sexual experiences, and I'm like, "God, I don't
Mhm.
wanna I would hate to touch a woman in a way that she felt like was annoying," you know? Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's, like, newbies can already feel like they're being annoying by, like,
Yeah.
being new to the culture and, like, having questions and, like, you're like, "Oh, I don't wanna be also annoying, like, in the bedroom." I think I don't know, from, like, a sensory experience, I'm like, yeah, it's, like, new, but also, like, sex is wet. You like making out? I don't know.
There's the clip. Sex is wet. You're gonna pay attention to what feels nice, and you can ask, and also, it's really hot and it actually seems really experienced to be like, "What do you like?"
That's so true. What do you like does also have the implication of, like, whatever you tell me, I'm gonna be able to muddle through, which is maybe not the truth, but it still comes across with a level of confidence. I agree.
I can't imagine a thing that a woman would say next that I wouldn't be like, "Well, do I need a helmet? Like, I'm ready to go. Whatever." You know what I mean? Let me just grab an accessory if necessary.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah,
Which
it
is
is.
another thing. I think that there's also concern about the equipment, and I think it's,
Mm.
helpful to point out that there doesn't have to be any.
No, there doesn't have to be. Like, again, yeah, people are trying to find an equivalent to heterosex that
Mhm.
they're like, okay, so sex needs to end or like be PIV. So what is the lesbian equivalent? It has to be strapping or it has to be scissoring. And it's like, that's not true. There isn't like an automatic like hierarchy of the sex that we're having where it needs to always end with a specific thing. Like you and your partner actually get to decide what you like and then to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get to discover that together. And I think that that is, I'm trying not to be like hierarchical, but I kind of do mean it this way. I think that that is most often best, like the best sex happens when both parties come in curious about what you two like,
Hmm.
as opposed to like, I feel like everybody's had the experience of this is how your ex girlfriend liked things, you know? You're like, ah, I'm getting the ex girlfriend treatment. Okay, let's shift
Hmm.
it.
You're like, oh, this is a very specific pattern. Yeah. 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 And I think
Yeah.
it's true, we have so many, like, cultural myths about sexuality that just, like, aren't helpful, and, like, we change and grow and learn so much about ourselves and what we like, and, like, our body conditions change, like, over our life. There needs to be able to be an ongoing conversation, not just for you to have good sex in the immediate, but it so behooves you in, like, the long term to, like yeah, what you like is gonna change, like, day to day, like you're gonna be learning and growing, and it's not just gonna be like, "Okay, we figured it out. We figured out our five-step routine, and then we never have to think about it again." That's I don't think the reality of our sexual journeys as humans. Or even things like, I don't know, like stress. Like, you're gonna have periods of
Mhm.
stress where, like, the type of intimacy that you want is gonna be different, and you, like, are gonna wanna negotiate that. Or, like, pregnancy or like you talk about like menopause, like our body like changes and we have different things and yeah, having the resilience to be like, this is an open conversation for us
And
to
that can
not
be
assume.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Lately, I just really want my hips grabbed, like, all the time. Just like, in the kitchen, like, "Please just grab my hip." And I don't know what that is, but I'm really happy about it.
I love that. I love the behind caress in the kitchen. So
Mhm.
good. But it's true and like the bullshit of like lesbian bed death or like lesbian stop having sex. It's like I don't So we've like built out what it means to like have intimacy and like sexual energy manifesting in our relationship in a lot of ways that adapts and flows through life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the things you might start to wonder about yourself aren't, "Do I like a strap and what size?" We don't have to start there, and, like,
Hmm.
that may or may not have anything to do with your sex life, but, like, do I like soft touches? Do I like someone coming up for me from behind? Do I like being tussled around a bit? Do I
Hmm.
like, being in charge, or do I like totally submitting, or do I like that being a back and forth banter? Like slowing down to like what are the parts of conversation that you enjoy, which makes it easier to share those and also think about what someone might say back, because it isn't this trick. It's more like, really, I really like edging. Dear God, fuck me up, but don't. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
Oh my God.
Aaron has their consciousness has floated up from this conversation and is a different place.
Yeah, that's been a conversation. Oh my God. If my family does not listen to this, but if you do, please stop listening right now.
The title
But
said with sex educator. This is your sign.
yeah,
Mhm,
but that's been a conversation in my household recently, because sometimes like during the day is when we have more energy,
mhm.
but not necessarily the time. And I'm like, yeah, we don't have to complete anything. Like, just leave me hanging. Please leave me hanging. Come in to my office, say hello, and leave me pissed off about it. I love that.
That rocks. That rocks.
Because then I just have to like stew in it all day, and I feel like a brat, and I feel activated, and it's just fun.
Yeah, you get to be doing all your work with a little bit of energy that's just like,
Supercharged. Yeah.
yeah,
It's like somebody turned my battery on and then didn't play with me, and that's fun.
I love that. No, it's true. Yeah, I feel like in the staff experiences that I've had, yeah, there's more of like an undercurrent like throughout, as opposed to in heterodynamics, it can either be like we're fucking or we're not. And I think it just feels more delicious to have that energy infused throughout. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, aren't we always kind of fucking a little bit? That's the vibe.
That's
Yeah.
the vibe.
That's the vibe. And when you're not like in the conversation that's really black and white about like what base we're on, and body counts, and like this sort of thinking about sex that's so in boxes, then you start to appreciate things differently. Then when someone holds your hand, it makes you think of all these other things, because it's all connected, as opposed to like, well, we're holding hands, we're not on second base. Like, it doesn't compartmentalize sex in the same way.
Mhm.
What else comes up for people? Anything that's just like, I know you talk about fashion. I was going to say fun and silly, but I don't think fashion is silly. It is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. People, I mean, I feel like that's been a big part of my journey because fashion means so much to me since I was really little. My mom like did a degree in fashion and that was a big part of growing up about, yeah, how you express yourself in that like art form. And yeah, I'm just very excited about helping queer people feel confident in their identity. And I think, and yeah, outside of sex or outside of finding a like community, fashion can be such a thing that you can do by yourself and like on your own timeline. And I'm yeah, all for giving people more resources of stuff that can be profoundly affirming, but without
Hmm.
necessarily needing to involve other people.
Hmm. Do you think that a lot of new people are looking for ways to flag, but then also, if we're talking about fashion as a whole, then doing so in a way that feels like them is maybe the trick?
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of like, as like a trying to understand what femme means,
Hmm.
being like, okay, if I've dressed feminine my whole life and that feels like important and affirming to me, how do I make sense of that with my queerness? And being
Hmm.
like, these two things are not opposing. Like these two things can be incredibly intertwined. And I'm sure you've experienced and like sharing about this that sharing femme as like a radical queer framework for so many people is like, ah, like lights, the sky opens up and you're like, oh my God, I understand who I am. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And having that be beyond like flagging, being like, wear this like thespian bracelet, which is cute. But like, I'm very passionate, I think, about going back to the roots of queer fashion history and trying to
Hmm.
understand it and situate yourself in like a bigger context, I think can be more profound.
Yeah.
I think it is like something I'm thinking about is like I don't know. If you like move through the world as a queer person, you are often misunderstood. And if you like internalize that misunderstanding, like there can be two realities. Like a femme can move through the world in a hetero space and not be seen as queer. That does not mean that they are not queer. And like I think there needs to be like a recognition of okay, like even like as a non-binary person, like and I don't even identify as femme, but I'm like I know that I move through the world and people are gonna she her me and like view me as a woman. That is a reality. And like yeah, when I'm in sapphic spaces, when I'm in dyke spaces, and also when I'm in my within myself, like I know that I'm non-binary. And I don't know what my but I'm I feel close to a takeaway about this, but yeah.
I do think that there's an invitation there if like because I don't like being misunderstood. Shocker, right? Most
Mhm.
people don't like being misunderstood. However, like the more that hurts or feels like it impacts your sense of identity, then there's like some investigation there to do about what is that insecurity and like how can I fight what I know about myself in such a way that like it's still annoying when it's usually on TikTok, so I just don't look at it very often that people say shitty things about my identity to me. And usually other lesbians, like comment section lesbians have shit to say about me being a lesbian. And, that sometimes feels bad because someone's being mean to me on purpose, but it doesn't make me feel like not a lesbian. And so if there is information for you that the way somebody talks about you or misunderstands you makes you feel unclear, uncertain, or unsteady in who you are, it's an opportunity to steady yourself.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if like you've spent if you've spent your life trying to like be affirmed and reflected back to the larger culture, it can feel jarring and like scary to be like, oh no, like I have to when I move through dominant culture, I will be misunderstood.
Mhm.
And just being like that is the reality of being a lesbian.
Yeah. And it's also a reality that requires a level of resiliency that maybe you haven't had to have before.
Just because hetero world tells you something doesn't mean second guess that it's the truth.
No, there's a reason that you didn't wanna be a part of that. I also think that dominant culture misunderstands Sapphic culture just entirely on purpose.
It's not that confusing.
It's not that confusing.
We love
Um,
women. I'm sorry, you can't wrap your head around actually loving women deeply and profoundly, but lots of us do it.
you wanna do some lightning round que
Yeah, let's do it.
What's your favorite part of being queer?
My brain immediately was like, "My girlfriend kissing my girlfriend, pulling me up with my girlfriend." But also, the like deep answer is like, I don't know, the like solidarity and the way that lesbians, I don't know, push ourselves to, I don't know, have a more profound experience of our humanity and other people's humanity. That's my
What is your favorite queer-coded fictional character, and is it a slug?
Is it a slug? They wanted to make that slug gay so bad. Um, apparently the slug sexuality, it's a brain slug. So when it goes into a new human, it just like adopts all the like stuff of the preset human. So technically, the slugs are like gender fluid and pansexual. Yeah.
What's your favorite queer place?
One of my favorite queer places in Toronto is called $3 Bill, um, which is a dyke forward, dyke centered bar. And it's
Mhm.
very sweet and small, as so many of them are. You get all packed in there together. I wish it wasn't as far from me as it is, but it's doing good stuff.
Yeah. Have you been to any of the dyke bars in the US?
Yes, I've been to a couple in New York. I think the one I went to felt like a bisexual bar. It did not feel like a lesbian bar, but that's also very cool for a bar to have
Yeah.
strong bisexual energy. It
Yeah.
was in Brooklyn, I think called Pink Meadow. Yeah. But I haven't been to Henrietta. I want to. Well, going to the States, I'm sorry, it's maybe not pretty right now.
Absolutely. I just wondered because we have so few, it's likely I've been to the ones you've been to. What is something you wish you could tell your younger self that you know now?
I mean, I never really like partied or whatever in university or like did a lot of social stuff. And I think I felt kind of weird about that. But there was a part of me that was like, I don't want to be in these hetero spaces. It's not for me. It feels unsafe. I don't want to do that. So if I could go back and tell myself, being like, even though it is isolating, like I'm proud of you in some ways for trusting your intuition and your life will not always be.
Yeah. As someone who did the opposite for the whole time, I can say that was probably worth missing out on. Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay if you have to learn how to go to a party and be in a bar for the first time approaching 30. And if it's all sapphic spaces, it's not the hardest.
Where can people find you and what kinds of things do you have available that they could interact with?
Yeah, so folks can find me on my podcast, Out in Bloom, which is on YouTube and Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We just wrapped our first season and turning this boat back around for season 2, coming soon in September for a lot of conversations like this.
Love.
Yes. Yeah, you can also find me on Instagram at What's My Body Doing. And I'm also bringing back my like now 8-week program called Queer Enough, which is about busting queer imposter syndrome and helping you live your best queer life. And that's coming in the fall. So yeah.
Love. Thank you for doing this.
Welcome to the Lesbian Peep Show. Peep Show.